If only I had spidey senses, so I can tell when something's wrong. Oh, and I'm intent to protect this heart from breaking into pieces. Where's my hammer? Where's the shield? All the strength to carry the weight of the world. Fly high into the sky. I'll catch you if you fall. I'll catch you if you fall. Fly high into the sky. I'll catch you if you fall. I'll catch you if you fall.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is time for the latest episode of Snap Decisions. Welcome in the second episode of the new year. And of course, we have a new season that just started today as well. So the Dark Avengers season has started. And I'm sure a lot of you have been playing with all of the cards and stuff like that earlier today. I was able to get the card on. I one-shotted it. I one-shotted Victoria Hand, which is very cool. I got that with just the first pick, so that was kind of nice. Nothing else to spend. No cards that I didn't really want or anything like that. So that was very cool. So we have a packed agenda today. We're going to talk obviously about the new cards, Victoria Hand, and of course Iron Patriot as well will be in the mix. We'll talk about them in comics, and over in Comics Corner we have a top 10 list today. Actually, it's top 12, the best season pass cards of the year so far. So the best season pass cards, well, not so far, of the year of 2024. So the best season pass cards of the year, ranked from 12 to 1. Of course, they are my ranks. So it will be what I thought of the cards. Yours, I'm sure, may be different. In the DJSpin today, we're going to just talk about the new season, and we'll talk about some of the news and all that kind of stuff in there. And then, of course, we'll have the MCU minute to end out the show, and we'll look also at some of the decks that I played over the course of this past week in the roundup of the end of the season. So welcome in, everybody. Appreciate you listening wherever you are listening from. Obviously, a little bit of a change. So I've been doing a live show on my YouTube page. I don't think I'm going to do that anymore. It's hard for me to stick to a schedule with it pretty much on my days off. So I'm just going to record it, throw it on the YouTube page. And you guys can watch it whenever you want. But I just think it's going to be a little easier for me to do. And obviously this will be out on audio as well. Speaking of the audio stuff, and I got the slides and stuff together, I think, before I saw this, but I have to thank everybody. I went through the end of the year, like roundup thing that they have in Spotify. And so I've got to say my thank yous. I'll go through all these little things that I got here. So the final things from the podcast of the year now, this is just from Spotify's numbers. But my podcast rating was a 4.7 out of 5. So that's pretty good. I was streamed in 30 different countries, pretty amazing. Top 10 show for 196 of the fans of the show. Top 5 show for 134 people. And the number 1 show as well, and for a bunch of listeners also. So thank you so much. That means a lot. And that's just on Spotify. Like I said, that's not on Apple or anything like that. I think it was number 1 show for 33 people out there. So for the 33 of you that made my show your number 1 listen to podcast, that's pretty amazing. Thank you so much. This one really didn't surprise me, I guess, because I'm old. Listeners ages 45 to 54 grew the most by 999% on the show. So I'm not really surprised that I appeal to older people. It just kind of seems like, It was streamed 150% more than your average episode. That's my top episode, which was the episode of Zombies Go Nom Nom. Joined me on the episode to discuss Deadpool's Diner and stuff. That ended up being my number one podcast and number one listened to show of the year on the pod. So obviously, thank you to Zombies for coming on the show. And I also had 88% of new listeners this year on the show as well. So again, thank you for all the people who listen every single week, whether it's on Spotify, on Apple Music, or on Apple Podcasts, all the other podcast networks out there, or if you come over and check it out on my YouTube page, or if you're watching on Twitch or wherever the case might be, which now, if I'm not going to be streaming, I probably won't be having many more things on Twitch. I used to, when I was streaming this show, live, I would also stream it to Twitch as well. But since I'm not going to do that anymore, you probably won't see too much over there going forward. But thank you to all of those who've done that. All right. So we're going to move on here. And first thing I'll get into is, like always on the show, I am part of a network of podcasts that is pretty awesome. It's called the Snap Judgments Network. And we are the 4 podcasts which you can see above. Now, I do have some kind of sad news, I guess. I was in touch with the kid in No Big Deal, and I'm sure a lot of you have noticed by now that they haven't been doing their pod recently. Well, they are, I guess I'll say they're kind of on hiatus. They haven't been, they've reached out to me, and they haven't been playing Snap lately. So No Big Deal's been playing some other games and stuff like that with his family and things like that. The kid has had a lot going on. I mean, he's got a job that takes a lot of his time. Plus, he started a new business venture as well. So doing a lot of that. And so they've kind of gotten away from Snap a little bit. I don't really know what that means for the pod. They did say that they might end up doing it somewhere down the line again, but not really too sure. So I know obviously you can see up on the board here, if you're watching on YouTube, the How Can She Snap podcast. And again, they were 2 of my favorite guests. I'm honored to call them friends. They are 2 great guys. And if indeed, they have decided that they're not going forward with their show, I will indeed miss them, as I'm sure a lot of their listeners will. I know they had guests on their show many times, and they also had a lot of people who listen to them every single week. If they indeed have moved on, I wish them both the best in what they're choosing to do. Obviously, again, so many times they've been on my show and vice versa. And, if they do indeed come back someday, obviously I know everybody, including myself, will welcome them back, with open arms and hope that they do end up coming back at some point. But again, some things change, and sometimes people just move on in life. And that's one of the things about games is a lot of times games just don't last, and people just don't play the same game all of the time. There's so many of them out there, and they find other things to do. And so, like I said, we will indeed miss them. Myself and of course the guys in Snap on This and Snap Judgments will miss them from our podcast network lineup if they indeed decide not to. But yeah, so we'll see, right? We'll see. Anything can bring, the future can bring anything, and who knows? Maybe they will come back at some point sometime. So we'll see. Snap on This, of course, with Ree and Lauren and of course Ben Roller. Fantastic podcast. They are every single Friday. I usually do mine on Tuesdays unless I've got something else going on. I do have some guests coming up. I have Kier Nimbus will be back on my show pretty soon. I have Gaming with Flash X who will be returning to the show as well. I'm sure we'll get off on some kind of tangent like we did before. And I also have coming up, which was supposed to have been this week, but I've had, some little things going on medically and stuff like that. Just different things that popped up with me. But Blue Train from the Born to be Cosmo podcast will be on the show as well. That'll be next week. So look forward to that and having some guests on like usual. I'll miss out on the guests this week, but I will have the guests returning in the near future. And they're usually on Monday. So the guest shows I'm going to try to keep on Mondays And of course, this show will be on Tuesdays, unless there's an OTA or something coming up. Then that will be all for the week. Now, I think we do have an OTA schedule. I can give you an idea of when that first OTA show will be. Let me see if I think I still have it. Yeah, so there's a patch. So there's a patch going to be next week. So that'll be the 14th. And then there's an OTA coming up on the 16th. So that'll be the first OTA of the year. So I'm sure I'll have something out about that. If the patch contains something big, like we know we're not getting character mastery now until February, so that won't be on there. If that contains something big, I might do a quick little video on YouTube or something for it. But otherwise, I will do the OTA video as well. The other thing to keep your eyes out with me is, of course, I'll be doing another show coming very soon with Nick the Greek Geek. We'll be getting back together to do the show, the Two Dudes Snapping show as well. And we should be getting together sometime tomorrow, I think. So look for that. That will be coming very soon also. So, all right. So that is all of that stuff out of the way. And yeah, we're going to get to the DJSpin here. And we're just going to talk about some of the upcoming things in Marvel Snap. Obviously, we're rolling over into 2025. So one of the things I'm most looking forward to is, as I mentioned before, is character mastery. And I know I've had the slides on the show before. I talked about this, I think, with Fothor Newman a little bit. But this will be coming sooner than we think in the month of February. And I know that many people are excited about it, me included, with all of my Galactus, my many Galactus variants that I'm going to be having already prepared for this. I don't exactly know how they're going to do it. We didn't hear 100% yet, but as you can see up there, Mastery Level 14, it's saying up here, you can pick looks like a card back, which is kind of neat. It's a psychedelic, frosted glass, refraction, and water card back. So the water one would be cool with like a Namora or Namor or any of the water dwellers, the water dwelling superheroes. Frosted glass would be cool, maybe for like an Iceman or something psychedelic. I don't know, maybe Legion. Legion would be cool with a psychedelic. And refraction kind of looks like a mirrored one. So yeah, so I mean, this is just part of what we have coming up. There's two on the bottom that I can't quite see because I didn't go down the page enough. And then you have this, then you go up to Character Master 19. Now that one was Iron Man. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the first one was Iron Man. So I don't know if these ones are the ones you'll get exactly with Iron Man, or if they're going to be just all different, or maybe all random. I'm not sure. Deadpool, his Mastery Level 19 is getting a copper metallic. The psychedelic is there, but also getting a neon trails. That looks like it's going to be a border or a card effect. I think it's a card effect. And then Rainbow Confetti is also listed on there as a card effect as well. You can see the banana one at the bottom of the screen. That's the one they kind of showed off in the video with Hitmonkey. So that's the banana card effect or as well. So it looks like we're getting borders, or not borders, but it looks like we're getting card backs and card effects as part of this mastery thing. So that's kind of neat. And then you see the track here. And again, this is for Iron Man. You can see at the bottom, you've got points there. There's 14 in this particular one. You have a Gilded Prism. Looks like a card back or a card background. You have a Cosmic one, which is neat. That's going to be cool for Galactus. And that looks like it's a card effect. Then you have the Mastery Cache, which I'm sure you can be able to pull things out of those. Not sure what they're going to be yet. We'll probably get a lot more details on this as we go forward, but definitely looking forward to that. And that's coming out in February of this year. So in just a month, we'll be getting Character Mastery, which I know is something that a lot of people wanted. They had said that they weren't going to have that for a while, and then they got a lot of backlash because of it. So yeah, I'm sure that people are pretty excited for this. I know I am. And we'll see how this works out, or what it's going to be, and we'll get more details, I'm sure, on it as the patches maybe come out. Maybe as soon as the patch next Monday, we might hear something. So we'll see. One of the other things, of course, to look forward to is the things that are happening in Marvel Snap. So you've got, like I said, a patch on the 14th is our first one of the year. The OTA on the 16th is our first OTA of the year. And then in 2 weeks from then, you'll get another OTA for the month. So that'll be the January 30th one. We'll have to see what we're going to get with that patch. What's going to be changed? What are some of the cards we might think might be nerfed? I'm thinking maybe Galacta might get a little nerf. She might get a power hit. She just seems really, really powerful for what she does, and I think she might get a little bit of a power hit. I don't think they'll change her ability. Maybe they will. Maybe they'd go down to a +2 on it instead of a +3. I'm not sure, but I do think she might be a candidate for getting nerfed. I don't necessarily think any of the ones from the Marvel Rivals set think they would need a nerf at all. I don't think so. I don't think any of them are super overpowered besides Galacta. Rocket and Groot were, pretty good card, but I don't think, Doom 2099, even though it created a meta, I don't know that they would nerf that. So I think if any of the ones we're going to get from this past month, it would be Galacta. I kind of think that they may do something to discard. Especially maybe ahead of Bullseye coming out. Discard is strong, and it still is very strong with the cards that it's gotten, and so it just Scorn, of course, made it stronger, and it's just a strong deck, and that's why people are playing Red Guardian to stop that specifically and get rid of like the Dracula and stuff like that. So. We'll see, but I think this card might have something done to it, especially before Bullseye is being released to make it a little bit weaker, maybe. I don't know exactly what they do. I don't know, maybe do something to Scorn. I don't know, but I would think that maybe we might get a touch up to discard. Can't really think of any other decks that were like meta staple. The Doom one certainly was, but I don't know that they'd go after that because, it's not impossible to beat. It gets a lot of power, especially if the Doombots get rolling early. But I don't know. I think we may see, similar to the December patch, I think we may see, or OTA rather, the last one in December, I think we may see more buffs to cards than we might see nerfs to cards in this OTA, I think. We'll have to see. And then we go to February. February 4th is the patch. Now, with that one is when I expect Character Mastery. So I would think that Character Mastery will be in the beginning of February. They might put a little bit of it in the patch on the 14th of January. But I do think that that's when that'll be released. They did say February, so that is obviously when we will get Character Mastery, will be on February 4th. We get an OTA on the 13th of February, and then another one 2 weeks later on the 27th. And then obviously the last one we have is the March 4th patch coming up. This was all released by Griffin on the internet. Just a couple things here to go over too in the spin. This is from Zombies Go Nom Nom, the aforementioned, who was on my most watched show of the year. And this is in reference to a post from KM Best. And of course he tags KM Best and Marvel Snap. And he says, if most regular Snap players could see how many more events and cool stuff the Chinese version of the game has than we do, they'd be pissed. Hell, they even let you rent a deck for a week. Yeah, there's a lot of this going around. So that Chinese version of Marvel Snap, which came out, I don't know exactly when, but it came out, months, I think a few months ago anyway. And it got out there due to this post. And a lot of people did. I know Glazer was even thinking of doing a video about this. And people had discovered that this other version of the game has some cooler stuff than we're getting in ours. And things people have been asking for a while, like a rent-a-deck feature. It's kind of like a practice mode, right? Like we've been asking for that here for a long time. And so, yeah, this became a thing. And again, I know there's people at Cam Best did talk about it a lot in reply to this post on his show. Don't know if Glazer did the video that he was going to do yet, but it has been out there. There have been other things out there. In fact, somebody shared a Ben Brode post about his about the game itself, and some of the things he showed in that post are things that they were going to indeed have coming into that game, and it looked like a lot of the stuff is there. So I don't know if people were angry about it or not. I didn't, interact with enough people to get that from them. But, I'm sure the practice deck thing, they would be like, hey, why not us, right? Why can't we get that? That sounds really cool, especially for people that can't play certain decks or certain cards and stuff like that. They would be able to practice with a deck for a week, rent a deck for a week. I mean, I think that's kind of cool. So who knows, right? Like sometimes things like this happen. They judge them. They decide, they not judge, but they test them in another market, and then if it does really well there, they incorporate it. That happens, right? Like some of these games are made overseas first, like Pokemon was done in Australia first. So I wouldn't doubt that if they hear some of this, or they get wind of some of this, that people would really like to see this come to our version, then maybe indeed that they could or might do that. So I wouldn't be surprised. We've seen things, like I said, start overseas before in video games. A lot of times overseas releases happen prior to the United States, and they get to play things first, and they do get different things sometimes. So but cool for Zombies letting people know. And I mean, now it is out there, so you might get a lot more people getting, seeing what the things they might like, and might get in second dinner's ear a little bit about it. And there it is. I have a picture, a screenshot here of Ben Brode. 6 months ago is when it debuted. It said about 6 months ago, Marvel Snap launched in China. They have their own OTAs, variants, events, and acquisition systems. So it is different from ours. So like I said, I would think that this to me, it's not something I'd get upset about per se. I know people find ways to play games that are overseas, whether they get on a server. I know people are playing Pokemon early by doing that. So who knows? Americans might find a way to play this somehow. I don't know. But I don't think this is a bad thing, because I think this is a place that they could test market things. They could test new things out, see how they're being responded to, and maybe they'll just get different ideas from that, right? Like they'll say, oh, this is working over there. It's really cool. People are liking this. So let's take it to the United States and bring it to the US. So I don't think this is a bad thing. But it does happen in other games. Trust me, it does. It's happened overseas where releases get done over there first, and then they bring them to the United States market. It's nothing new. So I don't think this is necessarily something to get upset over. I think that it's probably a good thing that it happened. So, all right. So that is my DJ spin. Nothing huge. I really don't have anything to particularly rant about. We're in the first show of the new year, really, and there's really nothing to rant about yet. We haven't gotten any big news or anything like that. We haven't gotten any. The new season just came out today. So. Nothing really, really huge to go off about. Now, like I said, I did get Victoria Hand. I managed to pull her, so that's kind of cool. I only used one of my keys, so that was a nice surprise for the new year. I don't think I've one-shotted one in a while. So yeah, I probably won't go after anymore, and we'll get into the Spotlight Cache later. Kate Bishop is in there, and a pretty cool Kate Bishop variant, which actually I don't have a Kate Bishop variant, and Grandmaster variant, not really too appealing to me. I don't play the card much, and the Victoria Hand one is cool as well. You can see the shield logo behind her, holding a gun up and stuff like that. The Kate Bishop one's nice. It's made by Salmon for Dinner, the variant that's there. The Pandard Studio variant is the one for Victoria Hand, and Alberto Dalago variant for a Grandmaster. It is really nice. But I'm not going to waste any more keys getting other variants that, it's no big deal if I have it or not. So yeah, so I did get that on the one shot. The new season pass thing came out today. I went for just the regular one. I used to get the $15 one, but I'm not doing that anymore. I don't see the need. That the Abomination as the kicker variant in there, not great. I mean, where do you play Abomination except for maybe a high Evo deck? And nobody really plays the card. So that's really not enticing to a lot of people. And so, yeah, I'm just probably going to go with the regular season pass now. There is a new album out today. It is, let me get my albums up here. It is a rose tinted variant album. And these are all by the artist. Let's see here. These are all by Rose Besch, B-E-S-C-H, Rose Besch variant. She did have one in the game prior, and that was for Spider-Woman. So the original, that was like my literally for one of my first variants I think I ever got was the Spider-Woman upside down variant. That is by Rose. And then I did pick one of them up. I got the Thanos one because I like getting different Thanos variants as much as I like Galactus ones. I'm still mad I don't have the Peach Momoko one. That is so cool. But I did pick up the Thanos one. And the album rewards are you get a White Widow avatar at 3 of the cards. 6 of the cards get you 2,000 tokens. 9 of them get you a Nightcrawler emote that he's holding up his hands, kind of like a Vulcan. And then you get a White Widow variant by Rose Besh as well at the end of that track if you complete the entire album. Most of them are in the shop today. Well, a lot of them are. And Rose Besh's Venom. There's one for Wave. There's one for White Queen, and there's one for Nightcrawler. And then also in my shop today, I have the Witching Hour bundle. That is Nico Minoru, 6,000 gold, 3,000 credits. So pretty good monetary value. It's expensive. It's the $99 one. 3,000 tokens as well. 2 black cosmic borders, the avatar and the boosters. So not one I would look at. But if you need the gold and the credits, go for it if you have it. And then Cosmic Charmer, we have a Mantis one for $9.99. 800 golden credits. Mantis is useless as a card. No one plays her. Great character. No one plays her. You want to talk about something that needs a buff or a change, it's this card. So then there's a border bundle. 2 black map borders, 500 credits for 15. Token Tuesday. I know Ben Roller loves him some Token Tuesdays. This is a great one to get. If you have the gold to spare, you're going to get 1,200 collector's tokens for this. So that's probably the best Token Tuesday. I think Nick the Greek Geek mentioned it on Twitter. Probably the best one that they've had in quite some time. So really, really nice Token Tuesday if you do need the tokens, and who doesn't need tokens sometimes, right? So that is what's looking up for me first, or what my snap is looking like so far. Stumbling over my words there. So far for today in the new season. So made a few decks to try later on with the new cards with Victoria hands, and also playing with the other new card that we got for today, of course, the season pass, and that is Iron Patriot. So I will let you know how those work out when I get a chance to play both of them a little bit later on. But so far, I haven't played much so far yet today. Okay, let's get into it, shall we? And we'll move on to my week in Snap, and of course the meta report, and we'll start talking some Snap. Of course, here is the season pass for the Iron Patriot, the Dark Avengers month. Iron Patriot Sentry. You're getting a Sentry variant, 2 card backs. That is the Iron Patriot Shield, and Ares are your card backs. You're getting a Daken variant, which is the Wolverine variant of Daken, which is cool. And then the Iron Patriot one that you get at the end of the collection track. There is a giveaway going on for a season pass. That is the basic season pass, 1 season pass giveaway. And the instructions are on my Twitter for that. So if you haven't done so, go check that out. And then we'll look at some of the cards. We'll just read off these cards and do a quick once over of the cards really quickly, because I think we went over them on my other show. We have, and I'll talk about the season pass card, Ares and Victoria hand in a little bit, but we'll go to the other ones first. So we have Ares this month. He is a 4/6 on reveal. Compare the power of the top 3 cards of both decks if your total is higher, plus 6 power. So he can go to a 4/12 when they do the comparison. And the graphic for this was kind of cool. It picks up your 3 cards, it adds them together, and it tells you who wins. So obviously, if you're playing some bigger cards in your deck, you're more than likely going to get a 4/12 Ares, which is kind of nice. He might fit in, as a matter of fact, into a Surtur deck. He could very well bring like those Big Tens decks back, the Surtur decks back. And, in a lot of cases, you're going to win that draw because you're going to just have those 10 cards, those 10 power cards in your deck anyway. So you might see Ares kind of bringing Surtur back. We'll see. But it's an interesting card. It seems like a relatively easy thing that you can manipulate to get. Obviously not if you're playing something with a lot of small cards like a zoo deck. You probably won't win. You probably won't want him in there anyway. But it does seem like a pretty good card for those bigger cards like the Surtur decks. Moonstone. Moonstone is a 4/5. Ongoing, has the ongoing effects of your 1, 2, and 3 cost cards. This is interesting and obviously an ongoing shell, but there's just a lot of good cards that are out there that she can get effects from. That is an ongoing type thing. So, and there's ongoing cards now in a lot of decks. So I don't know. This card, it seems like it should be pretty good. It's just copying effects. It's a very vanilla stat line at 4/5. So, unless the effect you're copying is going to make her bigger, it's not a very good stat line for a card. But the ongoing is cool. Ongoing has the ongoing effects of 1, 2, and 3s. So not bad, right? Not bad. So we'll see how that works out. I think it could be a good card, but we'll have to see how it plays out. And there's, of course, Victoria Hand-Iron Patriot. We'll talk about those in a little bit. And then we have Bullseye. Bullseye is a lot of people, when I've asked to name me your favorite card, a lot of people named this one. And, for discard, it should be pretty good. Although the drawback, I think, to this card right now is pretty well set in how it wants to play. And in many cases, on turn 4, in a discard list, you're going to want to play that Dracula. So he becomes a card now where he gets bumped to turn 5. And then, it's such a static list that you always kind of want to be playing MODOK on turn 5, Dracula on turn 4, MODOK turn 5, and then just your glut of cards out on turn 6. So that's the point of this. Where exactly does it fit in? And it's activate. So you really can only play this. You're going to want to play this. You're going to want to activate it on turn 5. So you've got to kind of static get this out in turn 4. Now you can get this out in turn 4, play Dracula in turn 5, but then where does that leave MODOK? So I think what this is going to do is I think this is going to make a very different discard list for those who are going to play this. But what he does is 4/5, again, very vanilla line. Activate, discard all cards that cost 1 or less from your hand. Afflict that many different enemy cards with a -2 power. Now, obviously, you can use it with Swarm. If you happen to get those swarms going already early in the game, they're less than 1. They're 1 or less cost, right? So you can have a whole bunch of swarms in your hand that he can discard all of. You're going to multiply those swarms again, and then he's just going to hit a whole bunch of cards with -2s. So, in that way, it would be pretty good. But again, you'd have to make something a little different. It almost have to be swarm focused in a way, and maybe not have Dracula in there, or maybe not have MODOK in there. One of those cards might not be very good. Dracula wouldn't be very good anyway if you got a bunch of swarms in your deck. So this might be a discard list where you wouldn't use Dracula. Maybe you're not using APOC in this particular type of discard list. So maybe it's more of like an affliction discard list. Maybe you'd have like Moon Knight in there. I don't know. We'll see what people come up with, but I think this is going to be a little bit of a different discard list. Maybe it's something you're going to use. You'd want probably Proxima in there, right? You'd probably want, oh man, what's the other one's name? Jeez, not Ebony Maw. I forget. Corvus Glaive. Maybe you'd want a Corvus Glaive in this. I'm really not sure, but it's going to be interesting to see what people come up with for Bullseye. But a lot of people are anticipating it so far with the contest. That's the card that seems to be the one that most people are anticipating. So this was a nice surprise. We got new missions added to the alliances. Just kind of out of nowhere. We got a spend energy mission. I kind of like these too. They're 100-point missions, so you get a good amount of points for them, and they're very easy to attain. You're going to spend energy very, very easily and quickly in the game. So, this was cool. They just popped up out of nowhere. And it was kind of nice little addition to the missions. The missions do get repetitive. They do get boring in the alliances. So hopefully that's something they're going to improve this year. Make them a little different. The using the card ones kind of sucks because you got to make either a move deck or a discard deck or something like that you may necessarily not wanting to be playing. But this was nice. It was a nice little surprise, and I was in the top 3 of my alliance for a little while, which I never usually hit that high until everybody took me out, and I think I'm like 4th now. But it was a lot of it was because of this, so that was cool. And this was another surprise again that no one expected. This is the collector's chest. Definitely a nice surprise for me. I didn't know what it was. I saw it pop up on my screen. I'm like, what is this? And I played, I had played enough games to unlock it because I hadn't seen it prior. And I popped it open, and I got the Black Panther card like that. Boom. First one I opened, I got the Black Panther variant, and that was the big prize from this. You also could get like mystery variants and stuff too, but those are the purple mystery variants, which I have all of, so I'm not going to end up getting them. Usually I just get 200 gold. But in this, I was just getting afterwards, I was getting the credits and the boosters. Now I must have got really lucky and that's usually not me, but some people had said, oh my God, all I've been getting from this damn thing have been boosters. Well, I got the Black Panther card right off the bat. And I'll be honest, it is one of and I'll show it a little on here later if you're watching on YouTube, one of the coolest Black Panther variants I think there is. And I like of course, the comic book one. Black Panther, there's a lot of cool variants, but this one really is neat. I like it a lot. So I'm very, very pleased that I got lucky and I pulled it out of the chest. So just kind of another little free thing, right? Like just getting free stuff to play the game. This is kind of like those things they used to use in the day. Like remember when they did the circus one? Remember the circus one they did? Where they were just giving you little prizes and stuff for playing the game. So they kind of do these every now and then. And look, it's free stuff, right? No matter if you're getting boosters and credits. Hopefully you all got the card, but if you didn't, you're getting other stuff for free for just playing. So I kind of like that. I hope they do it more often. So that was kind of a surprise. And there it is, the Black Panther card. I just love this. I mean, he has that brown scarf. I don't know if this is from a comic book. It could be. But then he's got the panther like above him, like mingled in with the scarf and stuff. So it's very, very cool. The variant is really, really neat, Black Panther variant. So I think this is just an outstanding looking variant. So I hope you guys get it. Down the road, whenever something, if you're still playing it, I hope you get it eventually. I don't know if they'll come back with it at some point, but yeah, it's just a very, very cool variant. All right, I'll show you some of the other variants that I got throughout the course of the week. Next up, we've got the Red Guardian on skis. These were, of course, the winter variants. I did get both of these. So the Red Guardian variant, Red Guardian having a good old time skiing the slopes there. And then we have the Captain America one as well. These were 700 variants. So that's why I got them. I ended up pulling them both from caches. But you can see he's got some snow around him. He's got his Captain America skis there and his Captain America ski outfit as well. So very cool. I like when they do these seasonal variants. I think it's kind of neat. The 2099 variant. Now, this is, of course, from High Voltage. Really, really amazing looking card. The artwork on this is absolutely outstanding. Reminds me of some of like the old superhero 90s art when you would get all of like their, people would kind of poke fun at it a little bit because you'd see like every single muscle in their body. You could see all the leg muscles here and the traps and all that kind of stuff and the abs like through the suit. So, yeah, but it's just really, really well drawn and very much reminds me of like 90s art, like the Todd McFarlane stuff, like that kind of thing. Very, very much reminds me of that. So I don't use it ever. Probably won't because I don't play Move. But very, very cool one to add. Very cool variant. Lasher, of course, was from High Voltage too. This became pretty popular. A lot of people were playing in those decks where you kind of you buff the card. The ones with Gwenpool and Agony and all that stuff just make like a really, really big Lasher. And then you send over that negative point power to the other side of the board. So I've seen people get him up to in the 20s and stuff like that, and they're just hitting you. They're playing kind of toxic decks to begin with, and then they're just hitting you with the Lasher at the end of the game to win the game. So yeah, it's good that it got used, right? It was, again, a free card, and it actually made a bunch of decks dissimilar to King Eitri, which made nothing. You see a Thor deck every now and again, but King Eitri really didn't do much of anything. And so kind of nice to see that for a free card. Like Cassandra Nova kind of had an impact on the meta. This did too. This Jubilee I got as a variant this week. Super rare Jubilee. She's got like the little film strips behind her, and she's just jumping up. Has a brown outfit on with the yellow cape, and looks like almost like a little boa that she's wearing there, and the sunglasses on her head. So kind of cool. Looks very anime-ish. And that's cool. I have a lot of Jubilee variants as well. The Peach Momoko Rogue, very, very cool looking Rogue. I like it a lot. A lot of color in this, and Rogues, of course, the green and yellows, the classic suit, her hair, of course, with the white stripe in the front, the brown, and then the green kind of like scarf hanging off her neck and stuff in the back. Very, very cool. You guys all know how good Peach Momoko is, and her artwork is amazing. And this, like even her eyes, you can see the blue eyes and stuff like that. Very, very cool Peach Momoko Rogue. And then, of course, Rocket and Groot, the Rocket Raccoon and Groot variant. This is the Scotty Young variant. Very, very cool. And he, of course, as I said on Comics Corner last week, did the artwork for their comic book series that was short-lived, I believe, 12, 13 episodes, I think, or books. If I remember correctly from last week. But yeah, I like this. This is my favorite variant of the card so far. So was glad I was able to get this one from the token shop. But yeah, very cool. You can see the difference between the two of them. Of course, they have their Guardians outfits on. Rocket is super, super small in this, compared to what Groot is. Groot's gigantic, and Rocket is very, very tiny in the card. So fun card. I played a lot of it. I played it in Galactus. I found a Galactus deck that was out there. I think Cozy made it, that I had a lot of fun playing. And really, really fun card is Rocket Raccoon. This Hela that I picked is another one that was a 700 variant. So I was able to pull this one out of a cache as well. And I don't have a lot of really cool Hela variants. For the longest time, I only had her base card and then the gardening one. And then I got another one, but this one's cool. This one reminds me, I think, the most of the MCU one. So I kind of dig it. A lot of like purple, looks like purple rocks on the bottom there on the ground, and her cape flowing behind her, and she's got the green magical stuff coming off her hands, and of course that Hela helmet that she wears as well. So cool variant. The Negasonic Winter variant. This one is cool. And I've been playing her too. She's in that same deck that Cozy made, the Galactus deck as well. I really don't use her much, but I've been having fun with her. I can see how people like to play this card. But you got the Negasonic whole effect, the fire and stuff going on in back room. But she's got her ski jacket on and the hat and the earmuffs and the scarf and stuff like that. She looks like she's out maybe skiing. I can't tell if she's wearing skis, but it's definitely a winter background there. And you can see all the fire and stuff and the flares going on behind her too for the powers that she has. So cool variant. This Luke Cage is really cool, and this is Ink Pulp. The Ink Pulp Luke Cage. He always uses a lot of color, really cool color in his cards. This one's drawn very classic Luke Cage. You can see the wrist gauntlets and stuff on him here. The tiara, the crown that he wore, the metal crown. And then, of course, you can see bullet holes in it as well. So he's obviously in a fight. He's got the chain around his waist. So very, very much a throwback here to the 70s Luke Cage from the Luke Cage books. Of course, the Luke Cage and Iron Fist books. So I love it. This is a very, very cool throwback to a character that I had been reading since the 70s. So I remember this version of him very well. And I like Ink Pulp's art. It's very cool, very, very colorful, and stuff like that. So very, very cool variant. I got this Gambit as well. Was another. They had a lot of the cheaper variants that came out, so I got all these free because I was able to get them all from the caches. So in this Gambit, this might be my new favorite Gambit. I have a lot of Gambit variants, but this one is cool. I like the effect with the cards coming out. I'm not sure why somebody didn't do that before, but this is cool. You have the cards coming out of the like the queen, the ace coming out that he's throwing, and when you split the card, it comes out in 3D. So it's kind of cool. I dig that. I don't know why it took them so long to make one like this, but this might be my new favorite gambit. I do enjoy it. I think it's very, very cool. All right, I'm going to go through some decks here really quickly with you guys and talk about some of the decks I've been playing for last week. And this is one of the Lasher ones that I mentioned. This particular one has Agony, Zabu, Lasher, Psylocke, Penny Parker, Luke Cage, Mobius and Mobius, Red Guardian, Captain Marvel, Scarlet Spider, Enchantress, and Galacta. So you're pretty much just trying to hit, you want to get the Lasher in the lane with Agony. You want to maybe hit the Lasher. You could always use the Penny Parker Spider and make it bigger with that. And then, of course, you could always use Galacta to add even more power to it. And then, of course, you have different lines in this. You go Scarlet Spider with Galacta as well. Just make that an 8. And then you're going to have that pretty big. You can have Ms. Marvel in here, or Captain Marvel. I always say that when I use this variant, because it says Ms. Marvel on the top. But this Captain Marvel, you can make her an 8 as well with Galacta, where she could just, go in your lane. Red Guardian in here to just, chop something down on your opponent's side of it. Luke Cage so that nothing can be depowered in any way for you. So yeah, just a fun little different type of deck where you want to just get Lasher big if you can. If not, you have other winning lines that you could play. And my Sylvie Enchantress is in there too. So very cool. This is the Galactus one. This is the Cozy Snap one. And I've been having a ball with this. It's fun. And yeah, it's Galactus. So I'm not going to win a ton with it. You just don't win a lot with Galactus anymore. But it's just fun to play because of the cards that are in it. And a lot of them were cards that I never get to play. Nebula, obviously, is a kind of a staple in Galactus decks. But she's in here primarily to draw your opponent off. You want your opponent to try to play on that Nebula lane. Because right off the bat, you can play Star-Lord. Star-Lord's in here. So I'll go through the cards. It's Nebula, Star-Lord, White Widow, Daredevil, Negasonic, Red Guardian, Rocket and Groot, Galacta, Symbiote Spider-Man, Hobgoblin, Professor X, and Galactus. But like I said, you want to kind of draw your opponent out. You want to get them to play in the Nebula lane. And then, of course, if they do play on Nebula, then you can play your Star-Lord. Then, you'll get the bonus from him if they keep playing there. White Widow can throw that -4 out on a lane. I found that is very good right now because while, yes, they can get rid of it, a lot of people are playing Doom and they don't like to fill those lanes as much. So they want those Doom bots to go over there. So if you have that White Widow and they get a 4 down, it's going to definitely get your priority. And that's what you're going to want to do in a Galactus deck. Daredevil's in here. Daredevil's just a very underrated card. To be able to see what your opponent's going to do on turn 5, it's so good because you can decide, especially in this type of deck, whether or not you want to stay. That's a big deal. You can determine whether or not you want to stay in the game. And if you don't, if you see that you're just getting outplayed and you have no way to win, the Daredevil will let you see their turn 5 play. And if they haven't snapped by then, you can just bail. The Negasonic is in here too. Negasonic's great as a Galactus follow-up in this deck. If you can get the Galactus out earlier, in some games like where somebody plays like a Luna Snow, or you're getting a bonus or something like that off of one of the locations, or you're able to get cards out quicker for whatever reason. There's nothing really in the deck that's going to let you play Galactus faster. But if there is a way that you can get him out earlier, and you could play him, and even on like a turn 5 Galactus, then you have that Negasonic. You could put Negasonic down, and I've done this a few times in this list. I played Galactus on turn 5, and then I would have my Negasonic, my Star-Lord, and then sometimes I would move over. Sometimes I would have the Rocket and Groot play, or sometimes I would have the Star-Lord, the Negasonic, and maybe a Red Guardian, or maybe Nebula if I didn't play her early. And most of the time, the Negasonic would end up winning me the game because if people are going to play more than one card in the lane against you with a Galactus, they're going to play their biggest card first. So if you have priority, you're going to kill that card with Negasonic. So that's just the thing. I've noticed it with almost everyone I've beaten with that combo. They're almost always going to play their best card first. They're not going to lay their best card down second or even third if they get that many cards out. They're going to play their best card out first. So Negasonic is going to take out and pop off that best card. If they only play one card thinking they're going to beat you at something big, Negasonic's going to blow it up. So it's just a really good card to follow up Galactus with. Hobgoblin's obviously there to just win a lane and hope you can Galactus that lane at some point. Symbiote Spider-Man, you have that combo too, where you can do the Symbiote Spider-Man with the Galactus. I won a bunch of games doing that. Galacta, get her out first on turn 4, get the Symbiote out on turn 5. Then you got a 10, and then you get the Galactus out on turn 6 on that same lane. So then you have a 19 Galactus in essence that you're going to be able to play on that one lane, which is pretty tough to beat if you can get that combo down. And the Rocket Groot just does his thing. He just takes power away from your opponent. Like I said, the White Widow getting the -4 over there. Many times, the other little trick you could play with this, do the White Widow thing, and if you pull Red Guardian as your next card, whack the lane that you just hit the -4 with, and then they end up with a -6 that won't blow up. So you'll have a -6 in that lane for good. It never changes. And then they're kind of forced into playing in that lane, or just losing that lane. So yeah, so it's a good deck to get priority with, and you need to do that in Galactus. I won a couple of games, oddly, with Professor X, because I'll have the Daredevil out, and you'll get the Professor X out on turn 5. And if you see a lane that your opponent maybe just isn't playing, maybe it's a lane that's going to destroy the cards that are played in it, you can just sneak win a lane and get the Professor X down on that lane. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. Next up, there's a toxic list. It's Zabu, Hydra Bob, Hazmat, Lashers in here too. U.S. Agent, Valentina, Luke Cage, Red Guardian, Malekith, Anti-Venom, Man-Thing, and Ajax. So it's an Ajax list. Your Lasher's not going to get very big in this. You're pretty much just going to hit them with a -2 with it, unless you Hazmat it and make it a little bit bigger that way. It's really the only way you'd be able to do it. But most of the time, you don't want to play Hazmat until the very end of the game, especially if you don't have your Luke Cage in play. Valentina's card's not going to get the negative drawback because you'll have Luke Cage out. Again, Red Guardian, Malekith's just going to get that surprise card at the end. Anti-Venom can just draw something nice into a 0. Man-Thing is there to just take out a lane by himself in Ajax. So pretty much run-of-the-mill, except the Lasher going in there too. This one is a Galacta Doom deck. So it's called, I call it Doomsday Galacta. Zabu, Hydra Bob, Psylocke, Luke Cage, Rocket and Groot, Doom 2099, Galacta, Iron Lad, Legion, Vision, Doom, and Doctor Doom, and Magneto. So it's just a Doom 2099 shell, but you're just putting Rocket in there just to maybe get another lane with some negative power. Luke Cage, so you're not going to suffer any of the drawbacks or anything on your side, or if someone else is playing Toxic or anything like that, or trying to get you below that. It's also going to help you, against like other Toxic decks or clog decks and things like that. So run of the mill. I didn't play this one all that much, but if you're a fan of the Doom 2099 stuff, not a bad one to play. Okay, so this is the Super Premium Instant Reward. I talked about this a little bit earlier. This is the Abomination card that they are giving away, along with 3 Cosmic Orange borders. If you're, well, not giving away, but if you're doing the Super Premium Season Pass that's coming out now. So not a lot of great draw there. Even like the Cosmic Orange borders really aren't a great draw for that, I don't think so. Hopefully, if they're going to do this in the future, they do a little bit better as far as the cards and what they're giving there. I do have a couple bundles I will talk about here. This one's the 10 Rings for the New Year. This is $9.99 Shang-Chi bundle. Shang-Chi from Winking Studios, an avatar of Shang-Chi, a Cosmic Red, a border, 1,000 gold, and 155 boosters. So the 1,000 gold is worth it. It says bundle value 324 and currency value 125. So, and just, those little $9.99 ones, and 1,000 gold is pretty decent value. And then we have the Ajax one. This I primarily put up here because if you don't have the card, if you don't have Ajax yet, it is pretty much a staple in these Toxic decks that are coming out. So if you want to play one of those Rocket and Groot decks or something along those lines, you want to do the negative power thing, you kind of want to have Ajax as a finisher. This is a way you can get the card. Obviously, I have it, but if you are interested, this one is $49. Bundle value is $362, currency $134. You get the Ajax card, the Avatar, Matte black border, 3,000 tokens, 2,000 credits. So the token value is pretty decent. So if you need the Ajax card, it's a way for you to be able to get it without having to wait for it to show up in the spotlight caches. All right, guys, we're going to move along here and go to my weekly top 10, but it's not the top 10. It is the top 12 this week. And it is the top 12 2024 season pass cards. Top 12 season pass cards. And again, this is my rank of them. Some people will definitely have these ranked different depending on whether or not you play the cards more than I do, or whether or not you play different, decks than I do. So this is my rank and my rank only. No facts to it at all. No most played or whatever the case might be. This is just my ranking. So let's start with number 12. Number 12 for me was the Black Swan season pass card. Of course, we know what the Swan does. This was from the Black Order season last February. Man, it's crazy to think that Black Order season came out in February of last year. It seems like it's been out for so long now. This is the one of, obviously, Proxima, Corvus Glaive, Supergiant. It came out almost a year ago. But that is my number 12 card. I never really saw much use in Black Swan. I do not play Bounce. So to me, and I know she's now also appearing in a deck that Regis Kilbin just had out, and it was a Dracula dump deck where you want to dump all those one-cost cards at the end of the game. That is in there. I think he had an Ebony Maw in there, and you just want to dump all those ones out. And so she serves a good purpose for that. But other than that, other than Bounce, I really don't see a need for her at all. And she kind of sat around for months with no one playing her whatsoever until the Bounce thing kind of came around when Misery came out. That kind of sparked more interest in her, and Bounce started to make a comeback. But other than that, she's definitely the lowest season pass card for me. I just never really played the card much at all. Number 11, I'm going to go with Blink. Blink is obviously from May of 2024. Now, she's a fun card. Don't get me wrong. I had fun playing her. I was using her for a while with Galactus, of course, because she could blink a Galactus into a lane. But it was just kind of gimmicky. And she worked really well in Hela decks for a while. I know a lot of people are using her in Hela to try to draw out the Hela and stuff like that, or to just try to get a better card. But other than that, and again, it's a card you just don't see much very often in many decks. This is back in May. So May 2024 was a blink in time. So just to me, she deserves, I think, to be an 11. It's not a card I played very much. And again, I don't see it in many decks. So she doesn't even really have an archetype like Black Swan does. So for that matter, you can put Black Swan ahead of her. She doesn't even really have an archetype that gets played very much. So Blink is my number 11. Scar, believe it or not, Scar was back from last year. Scar was back in January of last year. So a year ago this month. Scar is from the Planet Hulk series. That was from January 2024. Look, Scar is good for what he is. He made a resurgence when Surtur came out. But had Surtur not been included in the season pass as a season pass card, I really don't know that we would have seen this card very much. He's played a lot in Thanos, or was played a lot in Thanos, but we all know that the trials and tribulations of playing a Thanos deck over this past year, wasn't very consistent, and it was up, it was down, it was up, it was down. So, he's a good card, but I just don't think he's a great card. And as of right now, you don't even see a lot of the Surtur decks being played much anymore. They kind of went through their little fad. And then they kind of hit it in the nerf thing a little bit. So, so Scar is, okay. But to be honest, I think I see Kyera played more than him now. So maybe she should have been the season pass. I see her being played more, and she was from this same set, especially in Zoo and things like that. So, so Scar is okay. But he comes in at number 10. Number 9 for me was the Thunderbolt set, and that is Baron Zemo from April 2024. Now, I know I do see this card played a lot, but I see it played a lot because people just insist on playing Mill. I don't even really know the answer to that as to why. It's not a great deck. It's not that consistent of a deck, but yet people love to play it. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a version of being toxic and like doing toxic stuff, like stealing your opponent's cards or milling their whole hand away. Maybe they're ex-Magic players and they miss playing Millstone and getting rid of your opponent's whole deck. Maybe they just like that. I don't know. I don't know what the reasoning behind it is. But this is a very RNG card the way it is. Many, many times when I've played Baron Zemo, I've gotten garbage from him. Toward the end of the game, if you end up playing him like later in the game, you don't get him to like turn 4, turn 5, you're going to get crap that your opponent just wasn't playing anyway. So, it's not, I don't know. It's, to me, unless you're a Mill player, and I dabbled in Mill, I don't play it a lot, but unless you're really a fan of this archetype, I just don't think it's all that good. So he comes in at, I'm going to lose my place. 10, 11, 12. Okay, he comes in at number 9. Number 9 is Baron Zemo. Number 8. Now, I love this card, and I played a hell of a lot of it, but I only played a lot of it because of Galactus. So this is Symbiote Spider-Man. He's going to be my number 8. It was fun to play, right? When it first came out, the season pass card, it was a brand new mechanic. So he was the first card to use the activate mechanic. So a lot of people played him because people just wanted to play that activate mechanic, wanted to see what it did, what does it do, and they wanted to play it. So yeah, that's kind of, I think, why people were interested in playing it. And he still does work with Galactus. He's still a good card to play in that deck, but I'm not going to come out and say he's a great season pass. Other than that archetype, I don't really see too many people. In fact, I think I see more people playing Scarlet Spider now than I do this, because of those decks that people are making where they're the buff decks. So again, just not a card that gets played much. He kind of settled into that Galactus deck archetype, and nothing really else. So I don't see him getting played a whole lot, getting a whole lot of play. And I kind of doubt that I will going forward. So he is my number 8. Number 7, Gilgamesh. Now this one is surprisingly to me at number 7 because this card was slept on big time. When he came out with that Eternal set, which I know a lot of people weren't thrilled with, I don't think anybody really played him very much. I didn't see a lot of it played until all of a sudden you started to hear rumblings about Zoo making a comeback. And then he is now a staple card. He is a staple card in the Zoo archetype. You are not going to see a Zoo deck that's out there without him in it. He just is very big and can win you a lane in Zoo. So he, to me, single-handedly made me eat my words about Zoo decks, and single-handedly had brought the Zoo archetype into a winning deck where you can now win a lot of games with that. People were getting to infinite with Zoo decks, and it is because of Gilgamesh. And this came out in June of last year, June 2024, in the Celestial's Finest set season pass. So ended up being a great card. Who knew? So that is my number 7. Number 6, I'm putting Surtur up here. Now, you could probably put Gilgamesh above Surtur. I went Surtur here because I enjoyed the Surtur deck, and it got me pretty high. It got me very, very close to getting infinite when it came out. I played a lot of Surtur, went into it with that whole 10s deck, and I won a ton. I got like from 73 all the way up to, no, in fact, I think it started at 60 during that month. So I got from 63 all the way up to like in the 90s with the Surtur list before people started to catch on to it and knew how to kind of counter it. But I got very far with this card. So I ranked him a little bit higher than Gilgamesh, and only because I don't play a lot of Zoo. But he was a fun season pass. When we knew what we were getting when we saw him. We knew he was just going to be a big guy. He was just going to grow very, very big with a very, very big cards. He was a big dumb idiots card in a big dumb idiots deck, and we knew what we were getting. I think he was very easy to play. No, there was no brain stuff about it. You didn't have to think to play this card or this deck for that matter. And I thought it was just fun. And like I said, this was the November season pass card from War of the Nine Realms. We all know what we were getting with this one. No surprises here, but he is my number 6. So that brings us to our top 5, or my top 5 rather. And number 5, coming in at number 5 is Gwenpool. Gwenpool is a 4/6. We know what she does. She's a card buff card, but she's very popular. She became a staple in a lot of Surfer decks. She's still played a lot today, and people now are playing her with the Lasher decks. So she's just a really, really good card for what she does. Very good in those Surfer lists. She's just a very, very good season pass card. I think deserving of the number 5. She came from Maximum Effort in July of 2024. I think Gwenpool is just a very, very good card, and I think she'll be probably a staple card for time to come. That you'll just see her bouncing back in the meta every now and then. Number 4, I'm going with Hope Summers. Hope Summers was everywhere. This is from March 2024, Avengers versus X-Men season. She was everywhere. Everyone played this card because she's an energy cheat. Anytime you can get that energy cheat and get that extra energy, you're going to play it. And she was a staple in ramp decks. She brought like ramp decks style with Sandman back into play, Galactus ramp decks back into play. She was just a staple in ramp decks, made it into the Surfer lists as well because of being a 3 cost. She's a very good card and still is. A lot of people still play this. It's not as prevalent as it was when it first came out, but I think the design of it, just very good. A lot of people even said this card might be a little bit broken when it first came out, but I think she's definitely deserving of the number 4 spot on my top 12. All right. Number 3, Agent Venom. Agent Venom. Who would have thought that this card would have the impact that it did? Just really brought mid-range back, man. The 2/5, and of course it did get a nerf and stuff like that. It got adjusted, but very, very, very powerful card in that list. The Bass list with Thena and with Angela and with Kitty, and then people were playing it with the Iron Man in there and the Mystique and stuff like that. That deck was on top of the meta for the longest time. And it was because of this card, and this card was very, very, very powerful. And the deck is still, it's not out as much now, but I'm sure it will end up popping back into the meta at some point because it's just a very good mid-range deck, and a lot of people just like to play it, and it brought Iron Man back. Who knew? So that is my number. Where are we at here? Yeah, we're at number 3. So that was my number 3. Oh, darn it. We're going to go to number. Whoa. Now my thing's going crazy here. Okay. I think I might have lost my internet there for a crazy little bit. But Galacta is very powerful. I would not be surprised that she gets nerfed. Would not be at all surprised if she gets nerfed. Whether it be her power, maybe they nerf her to a 4/4, to a 4/5, maybe at least. Listen, having that 6 power that's giving out 3 to your bigger cards as it goes is just really, really good. And so don't be shocked if during this upcoming OTA we don't see a nerf to Galacta. Maybe they'll put her down to a 4/5 or a 4/4 if they want to go that way, or they can make it instead of a +3 down to a +2. But I would not be at all shocked if Galacta gets nerfed. She was just a really, really, really good season pass card, and one of the best of the year, in my opinion, at number 2. And finally, number 1, Kate Bishop from the Young Avengers season in August 2024. A lot of people early on knew that this card was going to be exceptionally good. If you would have told me that this card would have taken the place of one of the staples of every deck at the 2-cost card in Jeff, I would have told you were insane. But it has. This card is now a staple too. she is, if you're playing just a mid-range deck or just a deck in general, a Wiccan deck, or just, something along those lines, she is the go-to number 2. Wiccan for sure, because you need, you want to get that curve out. But yeah, she is just a staple in very, very many decks out there right now, and has overtaken the number 2 spot away from Jeff, which is kind of crazy. But to me, my number 1 season pass card of 2024 is Kate Bishop. So there you go. There is my top 12 season pass cards of 2024. So I'm sure your list may differ than mine. If it does, let me know. Let me know where you think some of these cards should go in the course of the season. Leave me comments over on the Spotify or on Apple if you're listening to the audio. If you're on my YouTube and you're checking it out there, leave me comments there as well, and let me know what your top 12 was, or what your favorite season pass card was of 2024. Let me know what your favorite one was. All right, moving on. Now it's time to go to Comics Corner, and we're going to talk about the new season cards. We're going to talk about Iron Patriot, and we're going to talk about Victoria Hand. So I'm going to start off with the cards themselves, and there is Victoria Hand. She is a 2/3 ongoing. Your cards created in your hand have +2 power. Now, I haven't had a chance to play with this yet. I know a lot of people are saying she's going to be good in Arsh. Well, no, it has to be created in your hand, right? So you're going to have to create cards in your hand to give them the +2 power. And I've seen some people play with this card. I think I watched Regis Kilbin a little bit. But some people are anxious to play with it. A shield deck. Maybe people looking to play with the old Devil Dino shield cards. Go back to like a very classic list, and she fits right in with that, right? Fits very well in that list. So maybe she'll end up getting played with some of her shield mates. By the way, she is. You will hear as we'll talk about her in a little bit. So I managed to one-shot Victoria Hand today. I did get it on the first try on the Spotlight Cash, so I was very happy with that. And then, of course, we have Iron Patriot. Is a 2/3 Norman Osborn himself. Add a random 4, 5, or 6 cost card to your hand. If you're winning here after next turn, give it -4 cost. So very simply, like you can end up getting if you're winning this lane, you can end up getting a 0 cost 4 card, a 1 cost 5, or a 2 cost 6. That's pretty good. So again, a lot of RNG, but it does seem like it's going to be a pretty good season pass card. And, he's giving you 3 power in a lane. So if you, you're playing kind of like a ramp style deck, maybe you're playing some Guardians and stuff with Rocket and Groot, but it'd be probably pretty easy for you to get I told you guys earlier about that Galactus deck I was playing that has White Widow in there. Yeah. There's a card you could very easily win a lane with, throw the -4 in their lane and play Iron Patriot. You're winning the lane, right? And he's an on-reveal. So yeah. Seems like it's going to be a pretty fun season pass card. We've got some art here. Now, obviously, you people that are listening on audio will not be able to see this, but this is one of the cool pictures of Iron Patriot. He's got some planes and stuff flying over his head in this. He's holding on to the American flag, and it is the armor with the red, white, and blue, the stripes, and the star in the middle. This is probably the Rhodey one, because Rhodey did wear this, obviously, in the MCU. He wore the Iron Patriot armor in Iron Man 3, I believe it was, in Iron Man 3. So I think this is a shot of Rhodey here with this. And then we also have another one, and this is a blue version of it. So all blue on top. And this is you could more like a War Machine Iron Patriot. So you see his guns up on top of his shoulders, and then of course the red on the bottom, and then most of the blue, and then the blue star in the middle. So it could be another Rhodey version as well. All right. His first appearance was in Dark Avengers comic #1, March 2009. So pretty recently created. And that's the comic of course, we want to check that out. Check out the series. That's what this month is based on. So if you want to go check that out, that's where you will find it. Created by Brian Michael Bendis, one of my favorite writers in Marvel, and Mike Deodato, also one of my favorite artists that is out there too. His first appearance, of course, we went through that. His alter egos, and he's had plenty. Norman Osborn, that's the famous one from the Dark Avengers storyline. Harry Osborn, Rhodey, Sarah Garza, Tony Ho, Sharon Carter, Robert Maverick, and Terrence Rhodes. So a lot of people that have had the Iron Patriot armor at some point. Notable aliases: he's also called the American Sun and also called Iron Hulk as well. The ability: superhuman strength and durability, supersonic flight, flamethrowers, energy repulsor and missile projection, and regenerative life support. So very similar, obviously, to Iron Man. Norman Osborn donned the original Iron Patriot armor during the Dark Reign storyline to exert his authority as commander of Hammer and the Dark Avengers while using Oscorp's resources. Unsurprisingly, Osborn's activities as the Iron Patriot have been jeopardized by the original Avengers. Osborn gets tricked into attacking Tony Stark, and when the new Avengers, led by Captain America, use the Iron Patriot's tracking device on Luke Cage as a trick to destroy his own house during the siege of Asgard, the Iron Patriot is disabled during Osborn's fight with Steve Rogers, which revealed Osborn's Green Goblin war paint. When Rogers, Stark, and Thor transfer him to the Raft Penitentiary, Osborn blames his Goblin alter ego for ruining his chance to protect America as the Iron Patriot. So that is all about Norman Osborn. A low-level AI drone via the Iron Patriot armor is seen during the Marvel Now event. At a weapons expo, it ends up stolen by AIM for the Scientist Supreme's plans, but is almost interrupted by Nick Fury Jr. and Daisy Johnson. Daisy Johnson! I remember her very well from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. An Iron Patriot army of sentient drones controlled by Marvin Flum were used to incriminate the United States in international attacks, such as a framed attack on Iran where the Hulk is sent in response. S.H.I.E.L.D. uses holographic communication to hack into AIM so the Iron Patriot drones can understand these programmed actions are wrong. The Iron Patriot drones are next seen during the Inhumanity storyline as support. James Rhodey Rhodes temporarily wore the Iron Patriot armor during the Iron Patriot series. His father, Terrence Rhodes, provides support for his family and uses the Iron Patriot battlesuit to help stop a conspiracy in which he sacrifices himself. Sarah Garza is an Inhuman who can generate powerful explosions of energy with her Iron Patriot armor, used as a regulator suit and a rookie member of the Secret Avengers. Some of these names you won't recognize, and some may end up with snap cards someday. I would be shocked if Daisy Johnson didn't. Sarah Garza as well. These may be cards you might see down the road. Dr. Tony Ho wore two versions of her own Iron Patriot armor as a member of the U.S. Avengers, a standard version and a heavy combat variation. Sharon Carter briefly wore the Iron Patriot armor to combat Selene. So there you go. The American Sun is another patriotic-themed exoskeleton used by Harry Osborn during the Dark Reign storyline and later Gabriel Stacy. I wonder if he's related to Gwen. The Iron Hulk is an alias used by Robert Maverick / Red Hulk. A variation of Steve Rogers, now referred to as Grant Rogers, created by the Cosmic Cube, utilized elements of Tony Stark's armor in order to control Hydra as the Hydra Supreme, Civil Warrior, which would later be utilized by Veronica Eden. The Ultimate Marvel equivalent of the Iron Patriot armor is utilized by Tony Stark, Iron Man, due to a sentient brain tumor and inspired by Steve Rogers' Captain America. So that's the Ultimate Marvel equivalent of Iron Patriot. Norman Osborn, Iron Patriot, and Harry Osborn, Patrioteer, appear in Ultimate Spider-Man, voiced by Steven Weber. And now these are other mediums that they appear in. So this is Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon, voiced by Steven Weber. I think he was in Wings years ago, the comedy, and Matt Lanter, respectively. The Iron Patriot armor appears in Avengers Assemble. Yeah, these are animated series. Also appears in a film set in the MCU. The first version appears in Iron Man 3, in which it is primarily used by James Rhodes, though Eric Saban uses it to capture President Matthew Ellis. Additionally, a heavy combat Iron Patriot armor appears in Avengers Endgame. So there you go. That's other mediums. Now we're going to go over to Victoria Hand. And we see some artwork here. Of course, you people listening on audio won't see this, but she's wearing like a pink blouse, black vest, wearing kind of like she's wearing glasses, long black hair with a little bit of red in the front. So it's just a portrait of her. And this is her picture from the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. series. You know what? I've been meaning to go back and watch it. I should go back and watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I really loved that show. I really did. That was at a time where we were getting like some of the Netflix stuff and everything like that. And of course, the first Thor film came out. So it was right at the beginning of like when the MCU was kind of just first getting underway. But Victoria Hand was indeed in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And there she got the same hairstyle with a little bit of red tinge in it and stuff like that, wearing the S.H.I.E.L.D. Suit. And I believe she was in season 1. We'll get to it in a bit. Her first appearance was the Invincible Iron Man, number 8, in December of 2008. So again, another relatively new character, and also written by Brian Michael Bendis and Mike Deodato. And you're going to see this with most of these characters because they all came from this Dark Avengers storyline. Her alter ego is she's Victoria Hand. She's a human, of course. She's been with S.H.I.E.L.D., Dark Avengers, Hammer, and the New Avengers. Partnerships with Norman Osborn. Highly skilled in information gathering, logistics, strategic management, and espionage. You will probably hear you probably heard a lot of the same descriptions and stuff about S.H.I.E.L.D. Saffron Burrows played her in the first season of Marvel Cinematic Universe TV series Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., while Rachel Schenck portrayed her younger self in the 7th season. So she was only older in the very first season, but then they showed her again, but she was much younger in the 7th season of S.H.I.E.L.D. So Victoria Hand was created by Brian Michael Bendis and Mike Deodato. Her first appearance was in the Invincible Iron Man, number 8, by the creative team of Matt Fraction and Salvador Larroca. Although her subsequent appearance in Dark Avengers by Bendis and Deodato predates this in continuity. Hand appeared as a supporting character throughout the 2010-2013 New Avengers series from issue 1, August 2010, through the character's death in issue 32 in December of 2012. Hand was introduced as a S.H.I.E.L.D. accountant, dating a fellow agent named Isabel, a partner with different beliefs about the fight against criminals and terrorists. 3 years before the Secret Invasion storyline, Victoria sent a letter to S.H.I.E.L.D. director Nick Fury about his war on terrorism and her concerns that he was doing a poor job. Isabella implored Victoria not to send the letter. The result was Hand's transfer to S.H.I.E.L.D. base in Portland, Oregon. Hand's relationship broke down due to Isabella's anger over her advice being ignored. During the Dark Reign storyline, Norman Osborn was promoted from director of Thunderbolt Initiative to the head of S.H.I.E.L.D., upon which he dismantled it and transformed it into the operation known as Hammer. He appointed Victoria to the position of deputy director of his organization due to her vocal opposition to the previous S.H.I.E.L.D. directors Nick Fury and Tony Stark. She willingly supported Osborn's agenda to subvert the heroes and place villains instead, believing that Osborn would bring peace to the world. Victoria also has certain level of authority over Norman's Avengers, despite the fact that Norman gave Moonstone the position of his second in command. She was also given the task of finding an acronym for Hammer. Norman Osborn received, Victoria was sent to Moonstone to neutralize Bruce Banner. Osborn reasoning that Banner's intellect is a greater threat than the Hulk's brute strength. She and Moonstone engaged in a powerless Bruce Banner and Scar. Hammer gave the duo the means to restore Banner's gamma powers, something Scar was waiting for, as he had sworn to kill his true father. When Banner coated in gamma radiation, the duo left, their mission accomplished. Victoria was part of the attack that went after the Asgardians, where she was leading the helicarrier squad. During the attack, the ship she was on was heavily damaged. Victoria ordered the evacuation of the crew. When the Void took full control of Robert Reynolds' body, Sentry, Iron Man informed her to leave the ship as he intended to use the helicarrier as a giant bullet. After the battle, Victoria didn't resist arrest and was taken onto a helicarrier where she was interviewed by Captain Steve Rogers. Victoria said that she didn't regret anything and that she was trying to help the world. In response, Steve gave her a position in his new team, which surprised Victoria. It was later revealed that she had been assigned by Steve Rogers to be the liaison for Luke Cage's team of Avengers, dubbed the New Avengers, because Rogers feels that she can provide an important insight for the team. Spider-Man in particular does not trust her due to her old contact with Osborn, to the extent that he refuses to reveal his secret identity to her, even when it means that he will not get paid for his work on a team. Luke's wife, Jessica Jones, also does not trust Hand, mainly because Hand nervously pointed a cannon at her and their infant daughter when they met in the Avengers mansion. Hand was contacted by the remnants of Hammer to ask her to join them. Instead, she provided the meeting location to the New Avengers so that they could sabotage the meeting. The subsequent assault resulted in the potentially fatal injury of Mockingbird. During a later confrontation with Superia, head of this branch of Hammer, Hand claimed that her betrayal of Hammer was actually a ruse intended to convince Steve Rogers that her allegiance is with him after Hammer contacted her in a public line rather than through more secret channels. She then provided the New Avengers with the location from which the Hammer agents were going to be recovered, allowing the Avengers to capture Superia and use an experimental serum she was trying to steal to treat Mockingbird. Spider-Man's suspicions of Hand eventually prompted him to leave the New Avengers, although this was due in part to his new responsibilities in the Future Foundation. Informing the rest of the team she would eventually turn on them due to her old ties to Norman Osborn, Spider-Man eventually returned to the team. After Norman's second incarnation of the Dark Avengers launched their attack, Han revealed to the new Avengers that she was actually a triple agent, pretending to work for Captain America while pretending to work for Norman Osborn while really working for Captain America. Subsequently helping the new Avengers set a trap for Osborn and try to rescue the captured Captain America after Daredevil's heightened senses confirmed that she was telling the truth. Victoria is possessed by Daniel Drum's ghost during his revenge attack on the new Avengers for what happened to his brother, Dr. Voodoo. Under Daniel Drum's possession, she was forced to kill Damon Hellstrom. That's another card we don't have in Snap yet, Damon Hellstrom, and Jennifer Cale. After Doctor Strange dispatched her in the Avengers mansion and brought her to the astral plane, Victoria was killed by Daniel Drum. After a long battle with two Avengers teams, Drum is defeated. The statue of Victoria Han was erected in Avengers mansion while the group is collected. She appears in the Marvel Cinematic Universe Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., portrayed by Saffron Burrows, introduced in the Season 1 episode The Hub. This version of is the titular version of S.H.I.E.L.D. This version is the S.H.I.E.L.D. base director. Upon learning of Hydra infiltrators, she leads in a team in weeding them out. In the process, she captures S.H.I.E.L.D.'s turncoat, John Garrett, is exposed as a double agent with the intention of sending him to S.H.I.E.L.D. base The Fridge, but is killed by Grant Ward. Additionally, a young alternate timeline version of Hand appears in the series finale. The end is at hand, and what we're fighting for, portrayed by Rachel Schenck. Following the Chronicom's attack on S.H.I.E.L.D. bases in 1983, Hand and the surviving agency regroup at a New York safe house and help the present-day S.H.I.E.L.D. agents return to their time. Yeah, that was where they went into different times and stuff like that. It got kind of a little weird at the very end of the series. All right. That is it for the cards. Of course, Iron Patriot and Veronica Hand. So, yeah, they are your new cards for this week. Hope you enjoy them. I'm sure we will get plenty of decks out there for them. And we'll have to see what people come up with as far as what they are playing. So, all right, guys, we're heading into the last round here, and of this particular show, we have the MCU minute to end out the podcast. So, MCU minute time, guys, and the Punisher is finally getting a reboot on Disney Plus. So, I'm not surprised at all by this, and considering that he is in the upcoming Daredevil series, that they are going to do another Punisher series, and of course it's going to be done on Disney Plus. Not surprised by this at all. John Barenthal's Punisher is amazing, and I'm sure he will be in the upcoming Daredevil series that is coming out very soon as well. So very excited to see that they're doing a Punisher series. The last one was very good, and I'm very excited to hear that they are doing that. In a post on his Patreon, Scooper Daniel Rickman, he's a very good one, by the way. If you want to find out scoops about the MCU, he's the guy to turn to. He's right a majority of the time. Claimed that he once again heard that a new Punisher show is in development, providing no further details. Barenthal was announced to return to Daredevil Born Again on March 7th. So that's coming out March 7th, just 2 months away. Before a reboot of The Punisher was quickly rumored shortly after the show's creative overhaul in September 2023. Disney is likely waiting to see how well Born Again performs on Disney Plus before rebooting Netflix's final MCU show. It would certainly be a funny coincidence since The Punisher was itself a spin-off of Daredevil due to John Barenthal's massive popularity in the role in Season 2. So, let me rephrase. Hey, Marvel Studio. Okay. This is from Ben DeMeo, I think. So he made some comments about Marvel Studios. Now, look, this is the gentleman who wrote X-Men 97, and he was ultimately let go by Marvel for reasons of that there apparently was some sexual misconduct and then that sort of thing. But he has kind of been slamming Marvel ever since, been saying a lot of bad things about Marvel, and this is just some of his comments. He is talking about Marvel making villains purposely race swapping white villains. So he says, here, let me rephrase. Hey, Marvel Studios, please stop race swapping white villains to black people. It reads funny. Kang, High Evolutionary, Norman Osborn, Electro, Mordo. Norman Osborn, of course, in the upcoming Spider-Man animated series. He's basically saying that they're making all their villains black. So DeMeo, a black writer and producer himself, elaborated in a few follow-up posts, stating that such casting choices perpetuate problematic narratives. It is a visual story of white good guys beating up black bad guys. Much of what we consume, especially kids, visually influences how we see the world. When the heroic good guy is nearly always white and canon white bad guys are made black for representation, it is a visual story of white good guys beating up black bad guys, especially when their library of black heroes are so radically underserved. It reveals a strong bias or ignorance. DeMeo also addressed his involvement with changing the skin tone of Sunspot in X-Men 97, clarifying that it was a Marvel directive. Look, asked and answered, this was a Marvel directive. Crew members and I brought up his Afro heritage multiple times. They wanted Latino representation on the team since Storm and Bishop were already black. So that's talking about Sunspot. So look, I'm not saying, I don't know, does he have a point? Well, they did switch many of them, right? Like, obviously the ones he mentioned, Kang, High Evolutionary, they definitely weren't black in the comic books. Norman Osborn never was black in the comic books. Electro was never black in comic books, and Baron Mordo. So he does have a point there. They were all switched. So yeah, I mean, take this how you will. Look, I'm not. It's a little bit of a slippery slope here, right? Because we know what he's being accused of, which is horrible. If indeed he did do that, he deserved everything he got. I know that he's denied it, but I don't know. And a lot of the stuff that's coming back from him is, of course, very anti. It's just bad things about Marvel. So has Marvel / Disney done bad things to people in the past? James Gunn was kind of unjustly treated, and he's doing pretty well for himself right now. So I don't know. Take this for what you will, make of it what you will. He does have a point. I mean, he's stating facts there. They were changed to black people. And then as far as his comment about white guys beating up on black guys, you could kind of take that for how you want to take it, I guess. It's not complete, it's not like he's lying. That is what is kind of happening, I guess. So we'll see what comes of it. But yeah. All right. And then we have, of course, releasing on January 29th, A Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is Marvel Studios' next release for Peter Parker. Project is not part of MCU canon. Now, this is interesting because originally when this series was first talked about, they were saying that this was supposed to be the actual origin story of Tom Holland's Spider-Man. That is not the case. This is not in that universe at all anymore. So this is now something completely different. It is not MCU canon. It is a thing all in its own. So Tom Holland will not return to voice Spider-Man in the animated series. In his place will be Hudson Thames, who I thought previously did a good job as Peter Parker in Marvel's What If. Well, I think there are some there's some exciting elements in the upcoming Marvel project. After having watched Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man's new trailer, I can't let go of a major worrying aspect. So this particular writer of this article is a little concerned because of the fact that it is not canon to Marvel. So as audiences wait for more news concerning the team's debut, recent rumors suggest that the Young Avengers will star in their Disney Plus series rather than a spin-off film. Now, I had mentioned on here that they were rumoring that the Young Avengers were coming together to be in Secret Wars. Well, now, kind of backtracking on that a little bit, that they're going to get a Disney Plus series first. I would kind of prefer that, to be honest, because throwing them into a movie, I mean, we saw the girl from Ms. Marvel the actress get thrown into the Marvels movie, and the other ones were just in series and stuff like that. I think I would kind of rather them come together in a series first before they throw them into a big film like Secret Wars or Doomsday or whatever. Rumors supported by the fact that MCU has very few theatrical releases left before the end of the multiverse saga in 2027, giving the franchise very little time to fit in a Young Avengers crossover. This rumor may come as a surprise to many viewers who have come to expect the MCU's big crossover stories to come in the form of theatrical films rather than streaming series. However, if these rumors prove to be true, I believe that turning the Young Avengers into a Disney Plus series is the best choice that Marvel could have made for the team's debut. I agree with that. I think that's a good statement, I believe. That is it. It was a light week in Marvel news too. But that's because you've got a lot coming. Look, Super Bowl is coming. And regardless of whether you're an NFL fan and you're going to watch the Super Bowl or not, you probably will be seeing trailers. I know that they had mentioned that a Daredevil Born Again trailer, a full trailer, is coming out. We did get a sneak peek trailer, but a full trailer is supposed to be coming out this week. So we should be getting that. And then, of course, I wouldn't doubt that you'll see maybe another, maybe smaller trailer for Captain America that should be released during the Super Bowl. I would bet maybe a new trailer, maybe for Thunderbolts. Maybe they're saving Sentry, and maybe they'll show the Sentry. I know they're teasing it. They showed him walking down the steps in Avengers Tower, and you could see the blue boots. So they're teasing it. But maybe they'll actually show Sentry in an upcoming trailer, or maybe we get a first trailer or a teaser trailer for the Fantastic Four. That would be awesome. I'm sure they'll probably show the Superman one during the Super Bowl too. But that's always a big time of the year for trailers and for movies and that kind of stuff. So I'm sure we'll get a lot of that coming up. All right, guys, that is going to do it for me for this particular show. Thank you so much wherever you may be watching. And like I thanked everybody earlier for my results from Spotify, for listening as well. I appreciate all of you. I thank all of you for taking the time out of your day to do so. Again, I will have some guests next week. I have Blue Train, who will be on my show. I have Kier Nimbus, who will be on the show. Gaming with Flash X will be coming back on the show as well. And I'm going to continue to book guests and try to get at least one a week on the pod with me, so I could talk to some of these awesome people and other content creators, etc., and get them on the show. So that's going to do it for this episode of Snap Decisions, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you are watching from YouTube, please make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you leave me a comment. Again, tell me what your favorite season pass card was from 2024 in the comments, and let me know why. Also, if you have any questions or anything like that for me, drop those down there too. I will always read them and answer them as well. If you're listening on audio, you can follow the pod there on Apple. You can also rate the pods as well over on Spotify and Apple. But thank you all for listening, however you choose to listen to the show. Have a great week in Snap. Enjoy the 2 new cards in the new season. And hopefully I will see you all and talk to you all on the next episode of Snap Decisions. Have a great rest of your night, guys, and a great week in Snap. And I'll talk to you all soon. This is your Snap DJ signing off.
If only I had spidey senses, so I can tell